Alright, so today we're going to talk about how to build a paint booth in your garage, or a room within your garage, a house within a house. Alright, this is kind of weird. It looks a little elaborate, and it's probably too elaborate for a paint booth, I don't know. But once I got started, I couldn't stop and I got obsessed. And I probably over-constructed it. But so what I wanted is a positive atmosphere in here, positive pressure as opposed to negative. So I'm pumping air in as opposed to sucking air out, because when you suck air out, you're running paint vapors through a fan, and you're going to blow yourself up and wake up dead and end up on the front page of the newspaper. So I'm having these fans blow in. What I have here is these four box fans on the other side of these filters, which is paint impregnating paint catchment filters. You can get a roll of this, 24 inches, for about 15 bucks. Found it on Amazon, so it's pretty cheap. That way it would catch the particulates, dust, bugs, things like that I don't want to suck into the booth. And so I still got to work out a few details, like, you know, wiring and everything. But I'll get a common power strip, run it out there where I can turn on all these fans and get this thing off. So this is pretty simple. The gravity holds the fans into place on top of the filters. So I'll have a big rush of air puffing in here at an angle. And another key to doing this is, since you have limited space, 10 feet, it's just barely enough for a paint booth. And what I did was I put the car on casters. Maybe you can see those casters down there. So I'm able to pretty easily move this car around. So when I'm painting over on this side, I'll just shove the car over here, you know, paint away. When I want to paint the back, you know, I'll shove the car that direction, paint the back. When I want to paint the front, you know, I'll pull it this way or whatever. So that gives me an awful lot of flexibility to deal with it. So you can see what I did is I built a pretty simple cage in here. And construction may have gotten a little elaborate, but one thing you have to have is a good sized door, and you have to have a lot of light. So I put this plexiglass in here to get some light. I just hung an LED there, and you get some ambient light from the windows there. Put a spring in there to pull it so I get a good tight air seal. And like I said, I probably over constructed. It's pretty easy to pick up the baseboards with a board to get the structure you need, and then I have this big beam up here where I was able to pick up the vertical end of these boards. So one issue you're probably going to have is the garage door opener. You have to allow enough room for the door to open and close. So I came down here and I stepped down to accommodate the thing. You have a motor for that. So I just barely have enough clearance for this door to open and close, cutting it real close. And, then I went over all the way to the center of the garage here, and I gave myself some. It's a little rinky-dinky here and there. You see some weird construction, but I made a few mistakes and goof ups and fix up along the way. You don't need a whole lot of structure, so you can go with pretty thin wood. I'll just got an electric staple gun. I'll come along and staple the plastic up to those pieces. And so for the exit, let the air out. I have these doors, and again, I put a couple hunks of plexiglass in here to get some extra light. Probably should have gone a little bit bigger, but what I wanted to do is leave myself space for another outlet. If I find that I don't have enough air going out, I can modify this real quick and cut a new hole. So at least I'll get some light. See this plexiglass here. So I got to be able to get the car in and out. Because I'll pull the car out and do the trunk, the hood, the fenders, whatnot, and then take all that stuff out and I'll put the car back in. So I put these on hinges, so that'll be easy to do. Pretty simple. And then a latch mechanism here. Nothing to it. I may end up putting some boxes here to get the exhaust out a little bit further. so that I don't reintroduce that air back into the garage. But all in all, this thing should work. So your garage is going to be different, but this fit pretty well for mine, and I did it without any damage to the garage. When I go to take this thing down, you're going to be able to tell it was here. And so as far as lumber goes, I put probably $250 worth of lumber and supplies into this thing. I reused a couple of things, but had to buy a lot of new lumber. One thing I'll have to do with the compressor, I'll have to have like a panel. I'll probably put it right here where I can have my air filter, water separator, and a regulator valve. So I'll make this probably my air center, and I'll hard mount a air chuck here so I can run my hose all through here. So one thing what you got to do is get a lot of light in here, and I'm going to have plastic here, so I put a nice powerful LED light, and that cost about $50, but I'll use that later. It was worth it. But I was going to be thinking about light. I found these goofy little lights on Amazon that are pretty bright, little LED floodlights for $13, and these are waterproof outdoor lamps, so theoretically they're vapor proof, so I'll be able to mount these on the interior. So I may go something like this. I'm not sure exactly where I'll put them, but I don't need to worry about an ignition source with these, hopefully. If I blow up and you read about me in the paper, you know that they really weren't vapor proof. One thing that's going to be a little bit tricky is air inlet, because it's going to catch the air through these two triangles at the end. So I'll have to make sure I have that window open when I paint so that air can draw up. Air is going to draw up over the roof through these slats and through this triangle here. So I'll need to fire up the leaf blower and blast out as much dust out of the garage as I can before I do anything, so that I'm not introducing more dust. All right, well, more to follow. I'm going to start putting up plastic soon, and then I'll show you the finished product, and we'll see if it works. All right, things making some pretty good progress here. Got it all sealed up. Gave it a test run and turned the air on and puffed it up, and it works pretty good. For my outlet filters, I use these, I think these are 3M, kind of like a Scotch-Brite air filter. I'm not 100% married to this. I may go with the paint entrapment filter like I have on the other side. But anyway, you can see how I constructed these doors here. And a little bit of an overlap latch. Put a screen there just for physical protection to the filters. A couple of windows to get a little more light in. Pretty straightforward. It's not going to have a 100% integrity in the seal on areas like this, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it's looking pretty good. I'm almost done. I have a few little details to wrap up. Over here is my air management. Pretty simple, straightforward. I could probably do a lot better if I had more money, but I went on the cheap. Went with a Cobalt air oil separator, moisture separator filter, and just plumbed it in with a hole right there. And while I was there, I took advantage of the hole to plug in this light. These are the little things I was talking about earlier. Got on eBay or Amazon for like $12. Kind of an odd color light. A little different than the natural fusion light I'm getting here, and the neon and the LED, but oh well, whatever. You can see back here where I snaked my hose up and down coming out of the compressor. That's just to dissipate heat, keep the temperature down as it comes out of the compressor before I go into the filter. Also, what I'll do is I'll add a inline, what's the word, cadescent? I forget the name of the stuff that traps the moisture. It'll come to me after I'm done with the video. Anyway, it's a snake thing about this long, costs about $25–30. You can get it from Eastwood or from just about anywhere. That'll, desiccant, that's the word I wanted. Give you your last opportunity to grab moisture. So what I did was I suspended this with staples, just ka-dunk, ka-dunk, dunk. Seemed to work pretty well, and A couple of the seams I taped, I finally wised up and started using clear tape. A little more light through, but light's the big challenge, so I got a nice big natural light here, and then I hung a fluorescent light back in here. And I draped the plastic over onto the floor. That gives me a little bit more of a seal, because when I power it up, it puffs up and the air pushes and actually seals itself. It worked out pretty well. It was kind of by accident. And I think I talked about these in the earlier video, but these are paint entrapment filters. Fans dropped over the back. Then I hung a nice LED light up here. I can operate from inside. It puts out some serious light. Then over here I've got some heat lamps and an additional LED lamp here. And then you can look up, see the fluorescent. What I did was I took one end of the fluorescent lamp and just canted it over like that, and you turn off all the lights and turn that on to test all your lights, and it splashes tons of light in here. So a little bit of LED light coming in from here. If I have a less light, it's going to be on the top when I'm doing the roof, but I think I'll be okay. I'm not real worried about it. I guess as far as how much it costs to do something like this, I don't know. I'm probably in about 250, 300 bucks. There's the intangible price too. It got me out of the house, and my wife thinks it's worth much more than that just to get me out of the house, so works out all right. But use a little bit of extra lumber from other projects, but I'm guessing probably about 250, 300 bucks. And then if you buy a really Sierra Hotel air management system, that will cost you 300 bucks alone. So, but I went with the cobalt stuff, try to keep the cost down in the filters. I got a roll of this stuff. Found that on Amazon. That was like 15 bucks for those filters, believe it or not. The fans cost, I think they were like 18 bucks each, and I bought 3 and had one laying around. So, as far as labor goes, the big labor thing was getting my garage ready. I had to sterilize half my garage, as you can imagine. In order, before I even started this project, I had to make space in the basement and everywhere else. And then I had to get some container systems, so I bought tons of these things. I don't know if you could count that into the cost, but I'll be using this server. So I bought a bunch of these containers, 10 bucks a pop, and a system to manage all my hardware, and a couple of shelves to put all these things in. So these fence will start to rack up pretty quick, beyond just the actual paint booth itself. But I'm pretty happy with it, and we'll see how it goes. I'll show you what it looks like when I puff it up. Alright, so all the fans are running. You can see how it billows out and puffs, sort of self-seals. And so the plastic's pushed against the wall and picked up, so I do have positive pressure. And if you go on the outside here, you can feel the airflow out of there, so I'm pretty happy with the seal that I got. I won't know for sure how well it works until I actually start painting, but no reason to believe it's not going to be perfectly fine. So there you go, how to build a paint booth in your garage.